No one knew the secret behind their wedding. Not the guests, not the media, not even her own family. All they saw was a dazzling New York rooftop ceremony, a billionaire CEO marrying a plus-size waitress from a rundown diner in Queens. But behind the lace veil and diamond ring was a cruel truth. She had been a bet. And when she found out, what she did next shocked the entire nation. It was a warm evening in Manhattan, the skyline blazing in orange hues. At the penthouse lounge of the exclusive Highline Club, 3 billionaires sat sipping rare whiskey and sharing shameless laughter. Ethan Carter was the ringleader, young, flashy, and dangerously charming. He made his fortune in tech startups. Beside him were his longtime friends, Travis Monroe, a fashion mogul, and Zach Hunter, a venture capitalist known for turning everything into a game, including people's lives. Remember that icy executive assistant from our LA trip? Zach grinned. You dare me to make her laugh during the investor gala? Travis laughed. You didn't just make her laugh. You took her to Paris the next day. They roared in amusement. Just then, Zach leaned against a glass window, peering down at a tiny 24-hour diner below. Guys, he said, tapping the glass. Check out the girl behind the counter. They all looked down. Inside the flickering diner lights, a plump girl in a pale pink apron served coffee to truckers and night shift workers. She had soft curly hair tied in a loose bun, and a face so kind it almost looked out of place in the city. She's cute in a weird Hallmark way, Zach smirked. I dare you, Ethan, he added suddenly. Win her heart. Marry her. 6 months. If you make it that far, I'll hand you the Ferrari 812 in my garage. No strings. You're kidding, Ethan laughed, but his ego was already stirring. Dead serious, Zach replied. Come on, Mr. Heartbreaker. Prove you can love anyone. And just like that, Ethan Carter accepted the bet, without knowing that this girl, Emily Grace, would change him forever. The next evening, Ethan traded his Rolex and Armani suit for jeans and a flannel shirt. He walked into the diner on 9th Avenue with the kind of smile that usually made women melt. Emily barely looked up. Coffee. Sure, he said smoothly. And your name? Emily. I'm Ethan. Still just coffee? Ethan blinked. He wasn't used to disinterest. Emily was warm to customers, but never flirted. She worked double shifts, helped her ailing father, and took community college classes at night. She had no time for rich boys pretending to slum it. Still, Ethan came back the next night. And the next. He brought flowers. She said she was allergic. He left big tips. She returned them. But slowly, her guard dropped. She noticed the way he laughed with the old men who came in, how he offered to carry groceries for her after work, how he listened. For the first time in years, Emily smiled just because someone saw her. After 2 weeks, Ethan invited her to Central Park for a picnic. You know, Emily said as she bit into a homemade sandwich, you're nothing like the guys I've met. How so? They usually want something, or they disappear when they find out I'm not exactly model material. Ethan said nothing, but inside, guilt started scratching at his chest. Over the next month, they grew close. Ethan stopped returning calls from Zach and Travis. He took Emily to bookstores, museums, a Mets game. But Emily never wanted glitz. She wanted real. And for the first time, Ethan wanted to be real. The night it all shifted was at Emily's dad's house in Queens. Ethan helped fix a leaky sink. Emily brought out cocoa. They sat on the porch under an old quilt. Sometimes I think God sent you here just when I needed you most, Emily said softly. Ethan looked at her, heart pounding. It wasn't part of the bed anymore. He was in deep. The next morning, Ethan texted Zach. I'm out. I'm not playing anymore. Zach replied with just one emoji, skull. 2 days later, Ethan proposed. He knelt down at Battery Park, a simple silver ring in hand. Emily cried. Yes. Of course, yes. The engagement went viral. Billionaire Ethan Carter to marry waitress from Queens headlined every news outlet. Some mocked. Others swooned. But in the shadows, Zach was furious. He showed up at the diner that evening. You really think he loves you? Zach spat. He married you. For a Ferrari. Emily froze. What? You were a bet, sweetheart. A 6-month game. Ask him. Zach walked out, leaving Emily trembling. That night, Emily confronted Ethan. Tell me it's not true. Ethan stood silent. His lips parted, but no words came. So, it was a game, she whispered. Everything you said, every touch, every kiss, was it just strategy? No, Ethan finally said. It started as a bet, but, Emily, I fell in love with you. I swear. But it was too late. Emily walked out. Ethan spiraled. He stopped going to work. He ignored investors. The media tore him apart. Photos of a drunk Ethan stumbling out of his penthouse flooded the internet. Meanwhile, Emily went silent. She moved to Vermont, took a teaching job at a local school, and tried to forget. But love doesn't die that easily. Travis, ashamed of their role, tracked Emily down. He begged her to visit Ethan. He's not the same. He's lost. Please. Just one conversation. Emily hesitated. Then she said quietly, one conversation. That's all. When Emily walked into Ethan's now messy apartment, she found him asleep on the couch, thin and tired. He opened his eyes. Am I dreaming? She walked over. I'm not here for apologies. I just want to know, was any of it real? Ethan looked up, eyes red. Everything after the second date was real. I was a coward. I didn't tell you sooner because I was scared you'd walk away. I did walk away. And it broke me. Emily sat beside him. You have a lot to fix. I will, he whispered. They sat in silence for a long time. And then, gently, Emily took his hand. 1 year later, Ethan and Emily were married, not on a rooftop, not for headlines, but in a tiny chapel in Vermont surrounded by 40 people who knew the real story. There were no Ferraris, no press, but there was real love. And this time, it wasn't a bet.